If you think about your older sister not being able to have kids, what's the point of living with your parents, right? Such insensitive words from my younger stepsister. I'll definitely put this clueless girl in her place. I'm Melissa, 34 years old. I married Bob, who is the same age, 4 years ago, and now we live with his parents. Even after 4 years of marriage, we haven't been blessed with children. Many acquaintances and friends often ask us, aren't you treated harshly by your in-laws? Or isn't living together difficult? But the truth is, both of us work, and we really appreciate the support of our in-laws. Even if I don't do any housework, my mother-in-law, who has been dedicated to housework for 40 years, and my father-in-law, who is already retired, take care of everything at home. Even though we don't have children, managing all household chores while working full-time is challenging. Therefore, in terms of delegating household chores, we felt a significant advantage living with our in-laws. On the surface, one might get the impression that I'm a wife who doesn't do chores, but in reality, our relationship with our in-laws is very well balanced. In fact, what we pay for are the regular expenses such as the mortgage and utility bills of the in-laws' house. This house where we live with them was actually purchased entirely on a loan by the in-laws about 10 years ago, and that loan was quite substantial. My mother-in-law, who was always a homemaker, and my father-in-law, who couldn't pay his pension for a while, receive a smaller pension compared to others. Paying off the loan with just the pension was impossible. I sometimes question the judgment of the bank that approved their loan in the first place. And initially, I wondered, why would they make such a reckless decision? Sure enough, about 2 years ago, Bob approached me with a question. Alyssa, it seems like Mom and Dad are struggling with the mortgage repayments. They've said they'll handle all the household chores if we come live with them and help out with the loan. What do you think? I kind of saw this coming. It always felt like an arrangement that would eventually become problematic. But if they're going to take care of all the household chores, maybe it's worth considering. And so, we embarked on a new chapter of our lives, living together with my in-laws. To be honest, paying off the entire loan in exchange for them handling all the household chores wasn't exactly a fair trade in my mind. However, as Bob is the eldest son and I, by extension, his wife, I felt a certain obligation to contribute to the family household. Plus, I had a gut feeling that living together was in our future. So when the proposal was made, I reluctantly agreed. Upon moving in, we found that my in-laws respected our privacy, and we were able to live quite comfortably. For a while, I thought that maybe this arrangement would work out after all. But our peaceful life was soon disrupted when Bob's younger sister, Amanda, entered the picture. Bob has a 26-year-old sister named Amanda. She lives on her own, and we've only met her a handful of times, so we don't really know much about her daily life or how she supports herself. One day, we received news that Amanda would be visiting her family home after a long time. It's been such a long time. I'm so excited that Amanda is coming back. Yes, it's a rare reunion. We should prepare something special for her. Right, we need to prepare her favorite dishes. The love my in-laws have for Amanda is deep. Just the news of her return made their eyes sparkle with excitement. Well, let's not get too carried away. It seems like both mom and dad tend to lose their restraint when it comes to Amanda. In fact, despite the age difference between Bob and Amanda, they often don't get along. Since getting married, there's been little interaction between them. When Bob learned Amanda was coming back, he had a somewhat frustrated expression. And finally, the day of Amanda's return arrived. "I'm home. Oh, Amanda dear, look, it's your father. Ah, there she is. Should we go greet her at the entrance?" Seeing his elated in-laws, Bob murmured in a resigned tone, "Well, here we go," and let out a deep sigh. Suddenly, upon hearing Amanda's voice, I had an ominous feeling, as if I had an intuitive beg sense. What followed was the echoing shouts of the in-laws from the entrance. "What happened? Mother-in-law, is everything okay? What happened?" Both Bob and I, with slight furrows between our brows, peeked anxiously towards the entrance. There, the in-laws were looking at us with pale faces and eyes full of shock and confusion, as if pleading for something. Seeing their state, both of us were taken aback on the spot. The reason for our shock was the man standing next to Amanda. At first glance, he exuded an air of ill repute. He certainly didn't look like he was engaged in any legitimate business, and he gave off a sketchy and flashy impression. Having such a man in the in-laws' house was completely out of place in this quiet setting. It was then that Amanda introduced the man, wearing a slightly bashful expression. "This is Daniel. He's, well, my husband." And Amanda gently placed her hand on her stomach and caressed it. Seeing that gesture, for a brief moment, a thought crossed my mind. Could it be? Yet, from Amanda's lips, the hard-to-believe words quietly fell. "This is our baby." As I had suspected, Amanda's belly wasn't that noticeable yet, but now that it was pointed out, there was a slight roundness. Amanda continued to gently stroke that tiny bump, a smile on her face that also radiated happiness. The surroundings fell silent for a while. The in-laws and us, at a loss for words, just stood there, stunned. However, trying to find some words, the mother-in-law, with a trembling voice, murmured, "A child? You're pregnant already? This has to be a joke, right? Not only the sudden return of their daughter, but also her marriage to an unknown man, and now the pregnancy." All these truths weighed heavily on the in-laws, making it hard for them to even stand. "So, that's the deal. Nice to meet you all." Daniel's greeting was as frivolous as his appearance, devoid of any weight, contrasting with the previously heavy atmosphere. Bob's face showed a look of disbelief at Daniel's light-hearted demeanor. The in-laws remained speechless, still in shock. "Also, we've decided to live here." What? That caught us by surprise next. "Hey, wait, what did you just say? Raising a child, you really do need the support of parents, right? Don't you think so, mother-in-law?" Daniel began speaking to the in-laws as if we weren't even there. "Well, that's certainly true, but you see, unfortunately, there's no room available here. Amanda's room has been turned into storage too." In my heart, I was cheering the in-laws on, thinking, that's the way. I felt relieved when they clearly stated it was not possible. As I was feeling this way, I glanced at Bob, and he seemed a bit upset. Then, Amanda spoke up and uttered astonishing words. "Well, if that's the case, why don't you guys move out? You don't have kids, and there's no real benefit for you to live with mom and dad, right? What? Is she serious? I couldn't hide my shock internally. Looking at Bob, as expected, he had a stunned expression on his face. He probably foresaw such an outrageous demand from Amanda. Understanding the extent to which Bob had been troubled by Amanda before, just by hearing their stories, the realization hit me. By the end of this month, our apartment lease will be over, so from next month, we'll be moving in here. So, you guys should vacate your room. Exactly, we'll be using the furniture as it is. You can leave it behind. The two continued with their plans as if nothing was amiss. What does he mean you can leave it behind? Even if we somehow agreed to move out, there's no reason to hand over the things we've worked hard to purchase to these two. While I was thinking all this, Bob spoke up assertively. Hold on, don't make decisions on your own. We're the ones paying the mortgage for this place. Yes, that's right. If you guys leave, how will the mortgage be paid? How come? Even if you move out, you'll continue paying the money, won't you? I blinked in disbelief. Why would we have to pay the mortgage even after leaving? While thinking this, I looked at my mother-in-law and, to my surprise, she seemed to be nodding in agreement. This mother and daughter duo are really something. Wait a minute. Mom, don't start saying ridiculous things too. If we leave, why would we still need to pay? If you want to live here, you and Amanda should be the ones paying the mortgage. What? Seriously, know the facts. We allocate more than 40% of our salary for the mortgage repayment. I can't even begin to believe that you two could manage that. At that, Amanda looked a bit irritated. Don't act all high and mighty when you don't know anything. We work properly, and we have our income. Well, if that's the case, I'd be so happy if you two came to live with us. Amanda, right. You're the best, Dad. I love you. Yes, if I could spend time with my first grandchild, that might be a blessing in its own right. The in-laws' eyes briefly turned to us, giving off an air of something, and said, Sensing this, I started to feel uneasy again. However, I just can't bring myself to ask you to leave outright. It'd be easier if you suggested it instead. Don't you think so, dear? Yes. It's a bit difficult for us to say certain things. Mom, do you feel the same? The deliberate exchange between my in-laws felt like they were telling us to leave, and I could feel my anger starting to rise. Then Amanda said with a triumphant look, Well, let's think positively. Make sure to decide by the end of this month, and left the room. After Amanda left, the faces of my in-laws brightened up. Oh, we're finally grandparents. It feels wonderful. It was an unexpected surprise, but it feels like an unexpected happiness has come our way. Exactly, dear. Being able to watch our grandchild grow up close by is such a joy. Absolutely. With that, the in-laws gazed at us warmly. My face turned red with anger and, for some reason, a sense of humiliation, as if being blamed for not having a child. Bob, noticing this, chimed in. Look, if you want us to leave, just say it clearly. Oh, not at all. But will you leave? Well, If you do decide to leave, we won't exactly stop you. Right, dear? Fine, we'll leave. But in return, we won't pay any more of the mortgage. Well, that's a bit problematic. Please, you're the eldest son, aren't you? Help us out. It's truly impossible. That's just unthinkable. Bob's words were like a wall, and for some reason, they brought me comfort. I bet Amanda can't pay her apartment's renewal fee right now, which is why this whole conversation started. Dad and Mom, you're just being used. Please don't tolerate Amanda's selfishness any longer. Bob's determination not to pay the loan seemed to get through, and the conversation about living with Amanda and her husband was temporarily halted. Or so we thought. A week later, on the weekend, when we returned from an outing, Amanda and her husband were having tea with my in-laws, looking cheerful. A strange tension filled the air when they saw us. "Oh, hello. I didn't know you were here." How rude, acting all high and mighty in someone else's house. This is my parents' home, after all. That's not what I meant. Alyssa just said hello, right? What's the problem, Amanda? Bob shot a sharp look at Amanda and Daniel, who was engrossed in his smartphone. No big deal. It's just that you two could have stayed away longer. After all, we're going to be living here from now on. So suddenly, you're moving in today? Yes, because you two won't leave. It's causing trouble for Mom and Dad. What do you mean? Caught off guard by the sudden remark, the in-laws looked slightly troubled and looked away. It seemed what Amanda said was true. Even though it was the in-laws themselves who were in a bind due to the loan payments. You, Alyssa, can't have children, so you won't be any use living here, right? Those who care about their parents, like us, have the right to live in this house. But we've been paying off the mortgage until now. We agreed to live together when you said you couldn't make the payments and have been contributing to living expenses. Her voice trailed off. So many emotions are welling up inside me. Even though we never wanted to live here together in the first place. Her words made it sound as if Bob and I were imposing on them, and honestly, I was overwhelmed with emotion. Alyssa, Bob, these kids have a home. I want to see my first grandchild grow up close. I wish Bob and you had a child too. I was devastated by such an unexpected cold attitude from my in-laws. And then, Amanda's words added to the damage. Maybe we should just tell the two of you to leave since you're so clueless. Exactly. Leave the mortgage to us. So, you two, you don't need to be here anymore. Do you seriously think you can handle the payments? Bob was just as surprised by this. Yeah, it's fine. 40% of our salary isn't a big deal, right? I couldn't believe it. I inadvertently looked at Bob. He was nodding deeply. It seems these two had no grasp on reality. When I looked at Bob to see if I should tell them the truth, he slowly shook his head. It seems he's not ready to reveal that truth yet. All right. We'll move out then. Really? I'm sorry for making it seem like we're kicking you out. I don't know how she could say that and what she was feeling, but as I thought about what would happen next, I simply nodded silently. In the end, we decided to leave the house a week later. As that day came and we carried out our belongings one by one, our connection to the in-laws gradually faded. Thank you so much for everything up to now. Take care and don't hesitate to visit anytime. While the parents probably felt a deep joy about living with Amanda and her family, they showed a face of sadness on the surface. How long that joy would last, I don't know. I know the mortgage will be tough, but do your best. When Amanda and her husband arrived, Bob cheered them on. It's totally fine. Piece of cake. That's good to hear. Here's the bank book. It would help if you could transfer the money here every month. While handing over the bank book dedicated to the loan, I smiled and looked at Amanda and her husband. Okay, understood. So we just transfer to this account, right? Yay, just paying back the loan should be a breeze, right? These two apparently didn't understand the harsh reality yet. Maybe it's about time I told them. Even if it's a bit mean, consider it a form of education. Oh, by the way, that mortgage. It's precisely $4,000 every month. What? Seriously? A voice of surprise arose from Amanda and her husband. Yes, this was the reaction I wanted to see. Wait, you're joking, right? I told you, it's not a joke. Did you even check the bank book? In the quiet room, the sound of turning pages echoed softly, and I could see Amanda's face turning pale. What? What is this? I can't believe we have to pay $4,000 every month. What? But didn't everyone know about this? This is impossible. Where are we supposed to get such a huge amount to pay? Huh? But you were just saying piece of cake a while ago, weren't you? Well, my brother told me. He's using 40% of his salary for the mortgage. If $4,000 is 40%, that means he earns over $10,000 a month, right? That's ridiculous. Brother, how much are you making? I only make about $3,000 a month. Then how are you managing the mortgage payments? But didn't you say the mortgage payments were from us? What that means is, Bob and I combine our salaries, and we're paying 40% of that total. What do you mean? It's unbelievable to think that Alyssa is earning the remaining $7,000 with a part-time job, right? Amanda, didn't you know about Alyssa's job? Alyssa is a doctor. Even so, I'm a salaried doctor, so my salary isn't that high. Amanda and Daniel's eyes widened, and they were speechless. Why didn't you tell us something so important? I didn't think it was necessary to mention it. But why is the mortgage $4,000? I've never heard of such a high loan before. When we took out the loan, my income was pretty good. Plus, I was planning to continue working even after retirement at that time. The remorse was evident in the father-in-law's words. And haven't we told you about the loan before? What? I had no idea. She either thought it didn't concern her or she had forgotten about the situation. Because you said it would be easy, I thought Daniel, despite appearances, was earning quite a bit. Do I look that way? I mean, I'm a host, but I hardly get any customer requests, so I'm mostly assigned behind-the-scenes tasks. What the heck? You don't have to put it like that. Didn't I tell you I make $10 per hour? You said it was a piece of cake because you make $2,000 a month. $2,000. That's only half of the loan payment. In the first place, didn't you say the typical loan was around $800 and it would be easy? You said our parents would cover the rest and it would be fine. And so, a squabble began between Amanda and Daniel. The panicked in-laws tried to intervene. Come on, let's set that aside and figure out how to handle the loan payments. Exactly, we kicked out Bob and the others because you two said you'd help. The word kicked out stood out, but let's gloss over that. This isn't something we should be involved in. It's a loan that you guys took out on your own. You say it's not something to get involved in? We're living together, so if the four of us work our butts off, we should be able to pay off the $4,000, right? Upon hearing that, the in-laws looked worried. What? We have to work too? I want to spend the rest of my life freely. Yes, that's right. I've never even worked before. Well, in that case, you'll just get kicked out of this house while you're so carefree. What? Can that even happen? You can't expect to live in this house without paying the mortgage, right? Amanda, I'm divorcing you. I'm now a total stranger. Goodbye. Saying that, Daniel tried to leave in a hurry. Why would you say that? That's right. Running away is not fair. We're going to have a child, so you have to take responsibility. No, it's not that soon. It's just a small lie. What? I only pretended that Amanda was pregnant because she said if I did, we could live with her parents. Wait, Daniel, that's... Wait, so what about our first grandchild? Well, unfortunately, there's no grandchild. So, we don't need to pay the loan, right? True to his appearance, he was an utterly hopeless man. Daniel left the house as if running away. The rest of us were left speechless, utterly stunned. Brother, Alyssa, what if we all live together? Wouldn't that solve everything? I was amazed at her audacity. Surprisingly, the in-laws agreed as well. That's right. We should all live together harmoniously and help each other out. After all, families should be under one roof. Bob, Alyssa, a lot has happened, but let's get along again. Hearing that, I smiled at Bob. Bob nodded in agreement. With confidence, I took a deep breath and spoke. From now on, the three of us will repay the mortgage together, okay? Farewell. Saying that, Amanda and the in-laws seemed lost for words, but we left the scene promptly. Later on, the in-laws and Amanda tried to contact Bob several times, but he ignored all attempts. I later heard that Amanda and her husband officially divorced. Naturally, Amanda and her team were behind in their apartment renewal fees and didn't pay their rent. They fled like they were running away in the night. Rumor has it that the landlord was involved with the mafia, and Daniel was found by him and is now working almost for free somewhere. The in-laws' house seemed to be put up for sale a year later, and it seems they couldn't manage the loan. Both the in-laws and Amanda are without a home and seem to be in a dire situation. Knowing that they would surely try to find us, we decided to move far away from the in-laws' place. It might be a bit rural, but I was able to fulfill my dream of becoming a self-employed doctor there. It was a dream of mine from long ago, living in a residence combined with my workplace. The interior and furniture were chosen with meticulous attention by us as a couple. This place can be said to embody our ideal. Currently, we haven't been blessed with a child yet, but we're enjoying a free and unrestricted life with the money we've earned. Living our days pursuing our happiness without being bound by others' expectations or evaluations is truly fulfilling.